Commander Li Hun sat in the darkness of the Lunar Defense Station, his eyes fixed on the massive display screens that covered the curved walls of the command center. The blue glow of Earth hung in the main viewport, peaceful and quiet against the star-filled blackness of space. But Li Han knew that this peace was fragile. For the past 3 hours, he had been listening to the intercepted alien communications that came from the deep reaches of space. The signals were broken and hard to understand, but the message was clear enough. A war was happening out there. A big war. Dr. Park Mina walked into the command center, carrying a tablet filled with data. She was tall and thin, with short black hair and tired eyes. As Earth's top expert on alien life, she had spent years studying these mysterious signals from space. "Any new reports today?" she asked, settling into the chair next to Li Han. "Too many," Li Han replied, pointing to the screen. The computer picked up 17 different battle transmissions in the last 6 hours. 2 entire star systems went dark. "Whatever's happening out there, it's getting worse." Park Mina nodded grimly. She had been tracking this galactic war for 5 years now. Ever since Earth's deep space sensors first detected the alien signals, the war was being fought between 2 massive groups. The first group called themselves the Dominion Fleet. They seemed to be an empire that controlled many worlds. The second group was known as the Liberation Alliance, and they appeared to be fighting against the Dominion. "Have you been able to figure out what they're fighting about?" Li Han asked. "Control," Park Mina said simply. "The Dominion wants to rule everything. The Liberation Alliance wants to stop them. It's that simple and that complicated." The door to the command center opened with a soft hiss, and Admiral Kim Tae entered. He was an older man with gray hair and a serious face. As the head of Earth's Space Defense Corps, he was responsible for protecting humanity from any threats that might come from space. "Good morning, Commander," Dr. Admiral Kim Tae said, walking over to join them. "What's the situation?" Li Han turned to face his superior. "The alien war is spreading, Admiral. Our computers show that the fighting has reached the Outer Rim sectors. That's only 50 light-years from our territory." Admiral Kim Tae frowned. Earth had maintained a strict policy of staying out of alien affairs. They called it cosmic isolationism. The idea was simple. If humanity didn't bother the aliens wouldn't bother humanity. "How many ships are we talking about?" the Admiral asked. Park Mina consulted her tablet. "Based on the signal patterns, we estimate that each side has thousands of warships. Some of them are bigger than our space stations. The energy readings we're detecting suggest weapons that could destroy entire planets." The 3 humans stood in silence for a moment, thinking about the implications. Earth had about 200 military spacecraft, most of them small patrol ships or cargo vessels. Humanity had been focused on exploration and peaceful development of their solar system. They had never expected to face a threat like this. Sir Li Han said carefully, "Maybe we should consider making contact with one of the sides." "If this war comes to our region of space, ... Absolutely not," Admiral Kim Tae interrupted. "Our policy is clear. We stay neutral. We don't take sides. In alien conflicts, Earth has survived by minding its own business, and we're going to keep it that way." Park Mina looked up from her tablet. "Admiral, with respect, this might be different. The scale of this conflict is beyond anything we've seen before. If one side or the other decides that Earth is a threat, why would they consider us a threat?" Admiral Kim Tae asked. "We're just one planet with a few small colonies." "That's exactly why they might see us as a threat," Park Mina explained. "We're unknown. We're unpredictable. In a war this big, unknown factors can be dangerous." Li Han nodded in agreement. "Plus, our location is strategic. Earth sits right between the 2 main battle zones. If one side wanted to cut off the other side's supply lines, they might want to control our star system." Admiral Kim Tae walked over to the main display and stared at the tactical map showing known alien positions. The red dots representing Dominion forces were spread across dozens of star systems. The blue dots, showing Liberation Alliance positions, covered just as much space. And right in the middle, a single green dot marked Earth's location. "How long do we have?" the Admiral asked quietly. Parkmina checked her calculations. If the current rate of expansion continues, the warfront will reach our outer system in about 6 months, maybe less if one side makes a major push. And if they decide to come directly for us, Li-Haiyan asked. Then we have weeks, not months, Parkmina replied. Admiral Kim Tae turned back to face them. Then we prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Commander Lee, I want you to double the watch schedule. Any ship that comes within 10 light years of Earth, I want to know about it immediately. Yes, sir, Li-Han replied. Dr. Park continued monitoring the alien communications. I want to know everything about their military capabilities and their intentions. Understood, Admiral. As if summoned by their conversation, Captain Song Ben entered the command center. He was young for a ship captain, but he had proven himself. During the Mars colony crisis 3 years earlier, his ship, the Defender, was one of Earth's most advanced vessels. Admiral Songbin said, saluting. I just received word from the Jupiter mining stations. They're reporting unusual readings on their long-range sensors. What kind of readings? Admiral Kim Tae asked. Unknown energy signatures moving through the outer system? Patterns don't match any known human technology. Li-Haiyan felt a chill run down his spine. How many signatures? At least 12, maybe more. They're moving in formation, staying just outside the range of our detailed sensors. Parkmina stood up quickly. Admiral, this could be it. This could be first contact with one of the alien fleets. Admiral Kim Tae was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned to Songbin. Captain, I want you to take the Defender and investigate these readings, but maintain maximum distance. Do not engage unless fired upon. If these are alien scouts, we need to know what they want. Yes, sir, Songbin replied. And Captain, the Admiral added, if things go bad out there, your priority is to get back to Earth with information.
Ow.
We need to know what we're dealing. With his Songbin left to prepare his ship, Li-Han looked at the tactical display again. The green dot representing Earth seemed very small and very alone.
Oh.
Do you think our isolation policy will hold? He asked. Admiral Kim Tae stared at the stars through the viewport. It has to, because if it doesn't, humanity is about to face its greatest challenge ever. Outside, the stars continued to shine peacefully, giving no hint of the massive war that was slowly moving toward Earth. But in the command center of the Lunar Defense Station, 3 humans prepared for the possibility that their quiet world was about to change forever. The age of human isolation was ending. The question was, would humanity survive? What came next? Captain Han Sol stood on the observation deck of Europa Mining Station, watching the ice-covered surface of Jupiter's moon stretch out below him. The mining operation had been running smoothly for 3 years, harvesting water and rare minerals from beneath the frozen crust. It was quiet work, far from Earth. But Han Sol enjoyed the peace. That peace was about to end. Lieutenant Choyara rushed into the observation deck, her face pale with worry. She was the station's communications officer, responsible for monitoring all radio traffic in the Jupiter system. Captain, she said breathlessly, we're picking up something on the long-range sensors. Multiple contacts, moving fast toward our position. Han Sol turned from the window. How many contacts? 7 ships, maybe 8. They're not broadcasting any identification signals. Captain, their energy signatures don't match anything. In our database, Han Sol felt his stomach tighten. After the warnings from Earth about possible alien activity, every ship captain in the outer system had been on high alert. Show me. They walked quickly to the station's command center, where the main display showed a tactical view of the Jupiter system. Red dots were moving steadily toward Europa, coming from the direction of deep space. Time to intercept? Han Sol asked. 12 minutes at their current speed, Choyera replied. Captain, these ships are moving faster than anything we've ever seen. Their acceleration rate is impossible by human standards. Han Sol stared at the display. The mining station had minimal defenses, just a few small defensive turrets designed to destroy asteroids. Against unknown alien warships, they would be useless. Open a channel to Earth, he ordered. Priority 1 emergency transmission. Channel. Open, Captain. Han Sol took a deep breath. This is Captain Han Sol, Europa Mining Station. We have visual contact with unknown vessels approaching our position. Based on their technology and approach pattern, we believe these are alien ships. They are not responding to our hail attempts. The transmission would take 43 minutes to reach Earth. By then, Han Sol knew, this situation would be resolved one way or another. Captain Choi, Ara said urgently. They're slowing down. They're taking up positions around the station. On the display, the red dots had formed a circle around Europa. The alien ships were staying just outside weapons range, but they were clearly studying the human facility. Are they scanning us? Han Sol asked. Yes, sir. Tense energy beams are sweeping across the entire station. They're analyzing our structure, our power systems, everything. Han Sol walked to the communications console. This is Captain Han Sol. Of the Europa Mining Station, we are a peaceful research facility. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. There was no response. The alien ships continued their systematic scanning. Try again, Han Sol ordered. All frequencies. This is Europa Mining Station calling unknown vessels. We are not military. We pose no threat to you. Please respond. Still nothing. But suddenly, the scanning stopped. The alien ships moved closer. Captain Choi said quietly, I'm detecting weapon systems powering up on the lead ship. Han Sol felt a chill of fear. All personnel, this is the captain. Emergency evacuation. Protocol. All non-essential personnel to the escape pods immediately. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. Han Sol watched as his crew of 43 men and women rushed to their assigned evacuation stations. Most of them were miners and technicians, not soldiers. They had never trained for combat. Captain Choi said, I'm staying with you. Someone needs to monitor communications. Lieutenant, that's an order. Get to the escape pods. With respect, sir, if these aliens are hostile, Earth needs to know everything about their capabilities. I'm the only one who can analyze their technology. Han Sol nodded grimly. He understood her reasoning. Very well. But at the first sign of immediate danger, we evacuate. The lead alien ship moved even closer. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the largest human vessel. Its hull was dark and angular, covered with strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. Captain Choi, said, I'm getting something. A transmission from the alien ship. Put it through. The command center filled with a sound unlike anything Han Sol had ever heard. It was not quite a voice, but not quite machine language either. The alien communication was complex, layered with multiple frequencies and patterns. Can you understand any of it? Han Sol asked. I'm running it through the translation matrix, but it's unlike anything in our database. Wait, I'm getting something. The computer is finding patterns. The alien transmission continued for 30 seconds, then stopped. The alien ships remained, motionless around the station. Analysis complete, Choyera reported. The computer has identified some basic concepts. The transmission appears to be a demand for information about our military capabilities and our homeworld location. They want to know about Earth's defenses, Han Sol realized. That's not a good sign. Captain, there's more. Based on the linguistic patterns, the computer believes these aliens come from a highly organized military structure. This isn't a scientific expedition or a trading mission. These are military scouts. Han Sol walked to the main display and looked at the alien ships surrounding his station. Each ship was sleek and deadly looking, clearly designed for warfare. And they were asking about Earth's military strength. Open a channel, he ordered. Channel. Open, Captain. This is Captain Han Sol. We are a peaceful mining operation. We have no military information to share with you. If you are looking for our government representatives, you will need to contact Earth directly. The response came immediately. This time, the alien transmission was shorter and more aggressive in tone. Translation coming through, Choyara reported. The computer indicates this is a warning or ultimatum. They're demanding that we provide the information they want, or they will take it by force. Captain, another voice called out. It was Engineer Kim Woo, one of the few crew members who had remained at his post. The alien ships are charging their weapons. Energy levels are off the charts. Han Sol made a decision. All remaining personnel, evacuate immediately. Lieutenant Choi, grab all the sensor data on these ships. We need to get this information. To Earth. Already done, Captain. Been recording everything since they arrived. They ran toward the emergency evacuation pods as the station shook from the first alien weapon blast. The mining facility's outer hull began to buckle under. The assault. This is Captain Han Sol. Final transmission, he said into his portable communicator as they reached the escape pods. Europa mining station is under attack by alien forces. These are military vessels, not explorers. They're seeking intelligence. About Earth's defenses, we are evacuating. Tell Earth that first contact has been made, and it is not friendly. The escape pod launched just as the alien weapons tore through the main section of the mining station. As they flew away from Europa, Han Sol watched the facility where he had spent 3 years of his life disappear in a ball of fire and debris. Lieutenant, he said quietly, did you get all the data? Yes, Captain. Ship configurations, weapon signatures, communication patterns, everything. Then our people didn't die for nothing. Earth will know what's coming. As their escape pod headed toward the inner system, Han Sol looked back at the alien ships. They were already moving away from Europa, heading deeper into the solar system. Their mission was complete. They had learned what they came to learn, and now Han Sol realized with growing dread. They were heading toward Earth. The age of human isolation was over. The war had found them. The emergency council meeting in Earth's Global Defense Center had been going on for 6 hours. Admiral Kim Tae sat at the head of the large conference table, surrounded by military leaders from every nation on Earth. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the solar system with hundreds of red dots moving steadily toward Earth. The alien fleet arrived at the edge of our solar system 12 hours ago, Admiral Kim Tae announced to the room. Based on Captain Han Sol's intelligence from Europa, we know these are Dominion military vessels. They are not here to talk. Doctor. Park Mina stood up from her seat. She had been analyzing the alien ship data, non-stop since the escape pods from Europa had reached Earth. Her findings were disturbing. The Dominion fleet consists of approximately 400 warships, she reported. Their smallest vessels are twice the size of our largest ships. Their biggest ships are the size of small cities. Based on the energy readings, each of their main battle cruisers has enough firepower to destroy a moon. Commander Lee Hoon, who had been transferred from the Lunar Defense Station to Earth's main command center, raised his hand. Dr. Park, do we have any idea why they're here? What do they want from us? Based on the communication patterns Captain Han Sol recorded, they view humanity as a potential threat, Park Mina replied. We've been monitoring their internal communications. They call us a Category 5 threat. Category 5? Admiral Kim Tae asked. What does that mean? It means they consider us dangerous enough to require complete elimination, Park Mina said quietly, according to their classification system. Category 5 species are those that might challenge the Dominion's authority in the future. They don't take chances with Category 5 species. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The Dominion had not come to conquer Earth. They had come to destroy it. What about the Liberation Alliance? Asked General Park Jin, the head of Earth's army. Can they help us? Commander Lee Hoyan shook his head. We sent a message to the Liberation Alliance 3 days ago. Their response was brief. Your species has been marked for elimination. We cannot protect you. We are sorry, so we're on our own. Admiral Kim Tae said grimly. Yes, sir, Lee Hein replied. Earth stands alone. Captain Songben entered the conference room at that moment, still wearing his spacesuit. He had just returned from a scouting mission to the outer system. Admiral, he said, saluting. I have a visual report on the Dominion fleet. Show us, Admiral Kim Tae ordered. The holographic display changed to show real images of the alien fleet. The ships were dark and menacing, arranged in perfect military formation. Each vessel was covered in weapons and armor. They moved through space with the confidence of a force that had never known defeat. They're moving slowly, Songbin reported. taking their time to scan every asteroid, every space station, every satellite. They're not just planning to attack Earth. They're planning to eliminate every trace of human presence in the solar system. "How long do we have?" Admiral Kimte asked. "At their current speed, they'll reach Mars in 18 hours. Earth in another 24 hours after that." Admiral Kimte stood up and walked to the display. "Then we have 42 hours to prepare for the fight of our lives." He turned to face the room. "Want every ship we have, armed and ready. Want our orbital defense platforms online. On our ground-based missile systems prepared for action. And I want our civilian population evacuated to the underground shelters." "Sir," Commander Lee Haon said, "our entire fleet has less than 300 ships. Most of them are cargo vessels or patrol boats. It may be 50 ships that are actually designed for combat. Then we'll have to make them count," Admiral Kimte replied. "Captain Song, I want you to coordinate our space defense. Use hit-and-run tactics. Don't try to fight their big ships directly. Focus on their smaller vessels and their support craft." "Yes, sir," Songbin replied. "Dr. Park," the Admiral continued, "I need you to analyze every piece of data we have on their technology. Find weaknesses. Find something we can exploit." "I'm already working on it, Admiral," Park Mina said, as the meeting ended and the military leaders dispersed to their duties. Admiral Kimte remained in the conference room with his core team. The weight of Earth's survival rested on their shoulders.
"I do."
"We have any chance at all?" Commander Lee Han asked quietly. "There's always a chance," Admiral Kimte replied. "Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and asteroid impacts. We're still here because we don't give up." 24 hours later, the first battle began near Mars. Captain Songbin commanded the human fleet from the bridge of the Defender, the most advanced ship in Earth's Navy. Around him, the small human fleet spread out in a defensive formation. Dominion. "Ships are approaching Mars orbit," reported the sensor operator. "Count to 60 vessels, moving in attack formation. All ships." "This is Captain Song," he said into his communicator. "Remember the plan? We're not trying to win a straight fight. We're trying to hurt them and slow them down. Hit fast, hit hard, and get out." The first Dominion ship came into weapons range. It was a massive destroyer, black as space itself, with glowing red symbols along its hull. Its weapons were already charging. "Fire," Songbin ordered. The human fleet opened fire with everything they had: missiles, energy beams, and projectile. Weapons struck the Dominion ship from multiple directions. The alien vessel's shields flared as they absorbed the damage, not even scratching their armor, reported the weapons officer. "Keep firing," Songbin ordered. "Focus on the same spot. Concentrate our fire." The human ships continued their attack, but the Dominion vessel seemed almost unharmed. Then it returned fire. A single energy beam from the alien ship struck the human cruiser Soul. The ship simply disappeared, vaporized in an instant. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Songbin shouted. "Don't let them get a clear shot." The human fleet scattered, using their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid the devastating alien weapons. But more Dominion ships were arriving, and the humans were clearly outmatched. "Captain," the communications officer reported, "we're getting a message from the Dominion fleet. They're demanding our surrender." "What do they want?" Songbin asked. "Want us to stand down and allow them to proceed to Earth without resistance. In exchange, they promise to make our destruction quick and painless." Songbin looked at his crew. These were good people, brave people, who had volunteered to defend their home world. They deserved better than a quick death. "Send them our response," he said firmly. "Tell them that Earth does not surrender. Tell them that humanity will fight to the last ship, the last soldier, the last breath." The battle around Mars continued for 6 hours. The human fleet fought with desperate courage, using every trick they could think of. They hid behind asteroids, used the planet's gravity to slingshot around Dominion ships, and coordinated attacks that forced the aliens to split their formation. By the end of the battle, the human fleet had destroyed 3 Dominion ships and damaged a dozen others. But the cost was terrible. 2/3 of Earth's space fleet had been destroyed. As the surviving human ships retreated toward Earth, Captain Song then sent a message to Admiral Kim Tae. "Admiral, we've bloodied their nose, but they're still coming. The main fleet will reach Earth in 6 hours. We hurt them, but not enough to stop them." On Earth, Admiral Kim Tae received the message and nodded grimly. The space battle had been their best chance to stop the invasion. Now the war would come to Earth itself. "All remaining ships fall back to Earth's orbit," he ordered. "Prepare for the final battle." As the Dominion fleet approached Earth, the blue planet seemed small and defenseless against the dark alien warships. But Admiral Kim Tae knew that appearances could be deceiving. The real fight was about to begin. The underground command bunker beneath the Swiss Alps had become the heart of Earth's resistance. Admiral Kim Tae stood before a wall of monitors showing the devastation above. 3 days had passed since the Dominion fleet had reached Earth. Orbit and the orbital defense platforms were gone. The enemy had landed ground forces in 12 major cities across the globe. Dr. Park Mina rushed into the command center, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. She had been working without sleep for 72 hours, analyzing wreckage from the destroyed Dominion ships. "Admiral," she said breathlessly, "I found something important, something that might change everything." Admiral Kim Tae turned from the monitors. "What is it, Doctor?" "Dominion soldiers use neural control implants," Park Mina explained. "They can coordinate their actions perfectly because their brains are linked to a central command network." "But Admiral, human brains are different. We're immune to their mind control technology," Commander Lee Haeon, who had been coordinating resistance movements worldwide, looked up from his communications station. "What does that mean for us?" "It means we can do things they can't predict," Park Mina replied. "Their entire military strategy is based on perfect coordination and predictable responses. But humans are chaotic. We're unpredictable. We adapt and improvise in ways their computers can't calculate." Above ground, Captain Han Sol was learning exactly what Dr. Park meant. He had survived the destruction of Europa Mining Station and now found himself leading a guerrilla unit in the ruins of Seoul. The Dominion ground forces had taken control of the city, but they hadn't counted on human stubbornness. "Team 2. Report," Han Sol whispered into his radio as he crouched behind the wreckage of a destroyed bus. "We've planted the explosives on the alien supply depot," came the reply from Lieutenant Choyara. "Ready to detonate on your signal." Han Sol watched the Dominion soldiers marching through the street below. They moved in perfect formation, their black armor gleaming in the sunlight. Each soldier was exactly the same height, carried identical weapons, and walked with identical steps. They were like machines. "Now," Han Sol said quietly, the explosion lit up the morning sky. The alien supply depot disappeared in a ball of fire and smoke. The Dominion soldiers immediately responded, but their response was predictable. They formed defensive positions and began scanning for threats in a predetermined pattern. Han Sol smiled grimly. The aliens were powerful, but they were also predictable. Predictable enemies could be beaten. "Fall back to position 3. He ordered his team, just like we practiced. As the human guerrillas melted away into the ruined city, the Dominion forces found nothing but empty buildings and scattered debris. They had superior weapons and armor, but they couldn't fight the enemy they couldn't find. In the underground bunker, Dr. Park Mina made another discovery. She had been studying the neural patterns of captured Dominion soldiers, comparing them to human brain activity. "Admiral," she called out excitedly, "I think I know how to turn their own technology against them." Admiral Kim Tae walked over to her workstation. "Explain." "Their neural implants work by broadcasting control signals on a specific frequency," Park Mina said. "If we can build a device that broadcasts interfering signals on the same frequency, we can disrupt their coordination. We can make their perfect soldiers confused and disoriented." "How long would it take to build such a device?" Admiral Kim Tae asked. "With our current resources, about 6 hours for a prototype. But Admiral, there's more. I've been analyzing the wreckage from their ships. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also specialized. They've built everything for maximum efficiency in specific situations." Commander Lee Haeon joined the conversation. That sounds like an advantage for them, not for us. Not necessarily, Park, Mina replied. Specialized technology is powerful, but it's also inflexible. Humans build things differently. We build things that can be adapted, modified, used in ways the original designers never intended. She pulled up a schematic on her tablet. Look at this Dominion weapon. It's perfect for its intended purpose, but it can only be used in one specific way. Now look at this human rifle. It's not as powerful, but it can be modified into a dozen different configurations. It can be used as a weapon, a tool, even a makeshift radio antenna. Admiral Kim Tae began to understand. You're saying that our technological inferiority is actually an advantage. Exactly, Park Mina said. The Dominion has conquered dozens of worlds using the same strategies and the same technology. But they've never faced a species like us. We don't follow the rules. We improvise. We adapt. We find ways to make things work that shouldn't work. As if to prove her point, a message came in from Captain Song Bin, who was leading the remnants of Earth's space fleet in hit-and-run attacks against the Dominion orbital forces. Admiral Song Bin's voice crackled through the communications. System, we just pulled off something the aliens definitely didn't expect. We attached mining charges to cargo containers and used them as guided missiles. The Dominion ships didn't recognize the threat until it was too late. Results?
Admiral,
Kim Tae asked.
us.
We destroyed 2 of their cruisers and damaged 3 more. They're scrambling to develop countermeasures, but by the time they figure out how to stop this attack, we'll be using something completely different. Admiral Kim Tae smiled. For the first time since the invasion began, he felt a glimmer of hope.
All
Resistance cells. This is Admiral Kim Tae. He broadcast to the global network. We've discovered something important about our enemy. They're powerful, but they're predictable. They're advanced, but they're inflexible. They expect us to fight like every other species they've conquered. But we're not like every other species. Around the world, human resistance fighters listened. To the Admiral's message, in London, a team of engineers was building weapons from kitchen appliances and car parts. In Tokyo, a group of teenagers had figured out how to hack into the Dominion communication network using modified gaming equipment. In New York, a former pizza delivery driver was leading attacks against alien positions using knowledge of the cities, subway tunnels. We're going to win this war, Admiral Kim Tae continued. Not because we're stronger than the Dominion, but because we're different. We're unpredictable. We're creative. We're human. Dr. Park Mina finished her neural disruption device and tested it on a captured Dominion soldier. The alien immediately became confused and disoriented, unable to follow basic commands. It works, she announced. We can mass-produce these devices using components from common electronics. Every resistance cell can build them, Lieutenant Choi. Era, who had made it back to the bunker after the Seoul mission, raised an interesting point. Dr. Park, what if we could scale this up? What if we could disrupt their entire fleet's coordination? That would require a much more powerful transmitter, Park Mina replied.
Of force. Something like a radio telescope or a satellite array. Commander Lee Hyun checked his tactical display. The Arecibo radio telescope is still operational. It's in territory.
Controlled by the resistance, and that's our target, Admiral Kim Tae decided. We're going to turn the most advanced military in the galaxy into a confused, disorganized mob. As the human resistance prepared for their next phase of the war, the Dominion commanders were beginning to realize that they had underestimated their enemy. The humans weren't fighting like any species they had encountered before. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and completely unwilling to surrender. In the occupied cities, Dominion soldiers found themselves constantly looking over their shoulders. The humans attacked when they were least expected, using weapons and tactics that made no sense, according to military doctrine. A group of school children had disabled a Dominion tank using homemade explosives and a remote-controlled toy plane. A librarian had taken out an entire patrol using traps made from library books and cleaning supplies. These humans are illogical, reported a Dominion commander to his superiors. They do not follow proper military protocols, use inappropriate weapons for inappropriate targets. They refuse to engage in honorable combat. Increase security patrols, came the reply. Establish more checkpoints. Follow standard occupation procedures. But the Dominion didn't understand that there were no standard procedures for occupying a world full of humans. Every human seemed to have their own ideas about how to fight back. And none of those ideas made sense to the alien invaders. Dr. Park. Mina worked through the night, preparing the neural disruption broadcast. Tomorrow, they would find out if human ingenuity could overcome Dominion technology. The war was about to take a very unexpected turn. Captain Song Bin stood on the bridge of the newly rebuilt Defender, watching as the small human fleet prepared for the most important mission in Earth's history. 3 weeks had passed since Dr. Park Mina's discovery about Dominion neural networks, and the human resistance had used that time wisely. The ship around him was different now. It still looked like a human vessel, but it had been modified with salvaged Dominion technology. The weapons were a strange mix of human engineering and alien power systems. The armor was patched together from destroyed enemy ships. It was ugly, but it worked. "All ships report ready, Captain," announced the communications officer. Songbin looked at the tactical display. 47 ships hung in space around him. It was all that remained of Earth's space fleet, but each ship had been rebuilt and upgraded. They weren't pretty, but they were dangerous. "This is Captain Song to all vessels," he said into his communicator. "Today we take back our home. Remember, we're not trying to match their firepower. We're going to be faster, smarter, and more unpredictable than they are." Below them, Earth hung in space like a wounded blue jewel. The Dominion fleet still controlled the orbital space around the planet, but their formation was different now. The perfect military order they had maintained for weeks was beginning to break down. Dr. Park. Mina's neural disruption broadcast from the Arecibo radio telescope had been working for 72 hours. The Dominion soldiers on the ground were becoming confused and disorganized. More importantly, the coordination between their ships was starting to fail. "Target acquired," reported the weapons officer. "Dominion command ship, bearing 270. Songbin studied the massive alien vessel on his screen. It was 3 times the size of his ship, covered in weapons and armor. A week ago attacking, it would have been suicide. But today was different. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Songbin ordered, and hit them from every direction at once. The human fleet scattered like a flock of birds, each ship approaching the Dominion command vessel from a different angle. The alien ship tried to respond, but its targeting systems couldn't lock onto so many small, fast-moving targets. "Fire," Songbin commanded. 47 ships opened fire simultaneously. The weapons were a mixture of human missiles, alien energy beams, and improvised explosives. The Dominion ships' shields flared as they absorbed the attack, but something was wrong with the alien response. Instead of returning fire in the coordinated pattern they had always used, the Dominion ship fired randomly. Some shots went wide. Others hit empty space. "Their neural network is breaking down," Songbin realized. "Disruption broadcasts are working." On the surface of Earth, Commander Li Hun watched the space battle from the Resistance Command Center. Around him, dozens of screens showed human forces launching coordinated attacks across the globe. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity was on the offensive. "London Resistance reports successful capture of Dominion Supply Depot," reported one communications officer. "Tokyo forces have retaken the city center," announced another. "Sydney team has disabled the Dominion communication array." Li Hun smiled. The neural disruption was working better than they had hoped. Without their perfect coordination, the Dominion forces were vulnerable. They were still dangerous individually, but they could no longer work together as a unified army. "All resistance cells, this is Commander Li," he broadcast. "The enemy is confused and disorganized. This is our chance. Press the attack." In the ruins of Seoul, Captain Han Sol led his guerrilla unit in a direct assault on the Dominion command post. The alien soldiers were still formidable opponents, but they were no longer the unstoppable force they had been. "They're fighting like individuals now," Lieutenant Choi Ara observed as they advanced through the rubble-filled streets. "No coordination, no teamwork." "That's their weakness," Han Sol replied. "They trained to fight as one mind controlling many bodies." They don't know how to fight as individuals. The human fighters, on the other hand, had been trained to think independently. Each soldier could adapt to changing situations without waiting for orders. When one plan failed, they immediately tried another. The assault on the Dominion command post lasted 2 hours. When it was over, the alien stronghold was in human hands. More importantly, the captured Dominion equipment included communication devices that could reach other star systems. Commander Lee Han Sol reported back to headquarters, "We've got alien communication gear. We can contact the Liberation Alliance." Space Captain Song Bin was discovering just how effective human unpredictability could be. His fleet had destroyed 6 Dominion ships and damaged a dozen more. The aliens were trying to regroup, but their formations kept falling apart. "Captain," the sensor operator reported, "we're getting a transmission from outside the system." "Not Dominion." "Put it through," Song Bin ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was clearly alien, but it was not the harsh mechanical tone of the Dominion. This voice was warmer, more organic. "Human vessels, this is Admiral Vex of the Liberation Alliance fleet. We have been monitoring your resistance efforts. We are impressed." Song Bin felt a surge of hope. "This is Captain Song of the Earth Defense Force. We're fighting for our survival against the Dominion." "We know," Admiral Vex replied. 8. "Your species has accomplished something remarkable. It have disrupted a Dominion neural network. In 300 years of war, no species has ever achieved this." "Can you help us?" Song Bin asked. "We are already helping. Liberation Alliance ships are entering your system now. But Captain, we must tell you something important. The Dominion has marked your species for complete elimination. Even if we drive them from Earth today, they will return with a larger fleet." Song Bin understood the implication. Humanity had made enemies of the most powerful military force in the galaxy. There would be no peace, no return to isolation. "Then we'll be ready." "For them," he said firmly. Dr. Park Mina, monitoring the conversation from the surface, felt a thrill of excitement. The Liberation Alliance had technology and knowledge that could help humanity prepare for future battles. But more than that, they had something humanity desperately needed: allies. "Admiral Vex," she broadcast from the surface. "This is Dr. Park Mina, Chief Scientific Officer for Earth Defense. We've learned how to disrupt Dominion neural networks. We're willing to share this technology with the Liberation Alliance." There was a pause before Admiral Vex responded. "Dr. Park, your discovery could change the entire war. The Dominion's neural coordination is their greatest advantage. If other species could disrupt it, we could finally fight them on equal terms." The battle for Earth continued for another 6 hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The combination of human forces and arriving Liberation Alliance ships gradually pushed the Dominion fleet back. The alien ground forces, cut off from orbital support and still confused by the neural disruption, began to surrender or retreat. As the last Dominion ships fled the Earth system, Admiral Kim Tae emerged from the underground bunker for the first time in weeks. He stood on the surface and looked up at the sky, where human and Liberation Alliance ships now patrolled together. "Status report," he asked Commander Lee Hoon. "Earth is free, Admiral. Dominion forces have retreated. Casualty reports are still coming in, but early estimates suggest we lost about 30% of our orbital infrastructure and 15% of our ground installations, and our people. Surprisingly low casualties considering. The neural disruption gave us a huge advantage in the final battle." Admiral Kim Tae nodded. Humanity had survived its first test as a galactic power, but he knew this was just the beginning. "Commander, begin preparations for the next phase. If the Liberation Alliance is right, the Dominion will be back. When they come, we need to be ready." "Yes, sir. Admiral, there's something else. The Liberation Alliance wants to establish a permanent base in our system. They're offering to share technology and military training." Admiral Kim Tae looked up at the stars. A week ago, Earth had been alone and isolated. Now, humanity was part of something larger. The age of human isolation was truly over. "Accept their offer," he said. "It's time for humanity to take its place. In the galaxy, above them, The stars seemed brighter somehow, full of promise and possibility. Earth had been attacked, but it had not been broken. Humanity had fought back and won. The real adventure was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the liberation of Earth, and the solar system looked completely different. Captain Han Sol stood on the bridge of the new starship Unity, watching as construction ships worked to build the largest space station humanity had ever attempted. The station would serve as the headquarters for the Galactic Liberation Council, and Earth was its chosen home. Captain Lieutenant Choi Ara reported from her position at the communications console. "We're receiving a message from the Kepler system. The rebellion there has succeeded. Dominion forces have retreated." Han Sol smiled. It was the 15th world to gain freedom in the past 3 months, all using the neural disruption technology that Dr. Park Mina had developed. The weapon that had saved Earth was now spreading hope across the galaxy. "Send our congratulations to the Kepler resistance," Han Sol ordered, "and let them know that Liberation Alliance support ships are on their way." The Unity was one of 50 new ships in Earth's expanding fleet. Each vessel was built using a combination of human engineering and alien technology provided by the Liberation Alliance. They were fast, powerful, and most importantly, they carried the neural disruption devices that could cripple Dominion forces. Dr. Park Mina entered the bridge, carrying a tablet filled with her latest research data. She had been promoted to director of the Galactic Species Protection Initiative, a new organization dedicated to helping emerging civilizations defend themselves against Dominion aggression. "Captain," she said, "I have the final reports from our recent missions. We've successfully taught neural disruption technology to 12 different species. Each one has adapted it to work with their own biology and technology." "Any problems?" Han Sol asked. "The opposite, actually. Each species has found ways to improve the technology that we never thought of. The Zephyrians figured out how to make it work through solid matter. The Kristen people can broadcast it through their natural telepathic abilities." Dr. Park Mina looked out at the construction work happening around them. "We started this war trying to save one world. Now we're helping to free an entire galaxy." Earth's surface, Commander Lee Hyun walked through the halls of the new Galactic Defense Academy. Young humans worked alongside alien students, learning military tactics and technology from a dozen different worlds. The isolation that had once protected Earth was now completely gone, replaced by cooperation and shared knowledge. Commander called out Cadet Kim Soo, one of the promising new officers. "The Andromedon delegation has arrived for the strategy conference." Lee Hyun nodded. The Andromedons were former Dominion allies who had switched sides after seeing what humans could accomplish. Their knowledge of Dominion tactics was proving invaluable in planning the next phase of the Liberation War. "Tell them we'll begin the briefing in 1 hour," Lee Hyun replied, "and make sure they have access to all our neural disruption research. We have nothing to hide from our allies." In the main conference room of the Global Defense Center, Admiral Kim Tae prepared to address the largest gathering of alien species in Earth's history. Representatives from 43 different worlds had come too. Earth to participate in the first Galactic Liberation Council meeting. The irony was not lost on him. 6 months ago, Earth had been a single isolated world trying to avoid galactic politics. Now, Earth was the center of a growing alliance that was reshaping the galaxy. "Friends and allies," Admiral Kim Tae began, his words being translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. "We gather here today not as conquerors, but as liberators. We fight not for territory or resources, but for the right of every species to determine its own destiny." The assembled delegates listened intently. These were beings from worlds that had suffered under Dominion rule for centuries. Some had been enslaved, others had been forced to serve in Dominion armies, and many had watched their cultures slowly disappear under alien oppression. "The humans have shown us something we thought was impossible," continued a delegate from the Tau Ceti system. "They proved that the Dominion can be defeated. More than that, they shared their victory with the rest of us." Captain Song Bin, who had been promoted to admiral and now commanded Earth's expeditionary fleet, stood to address the council. "The Dominion Empire still controls thousands of worlds and has millions of ships, but they face something they have never encountered before: united resistance. He activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Red areas showed Dominion-controlled space, blue areas showed Liberation Alliance territory, and green areas showed newly liberated worlds. 6 months ago, the Dominion controlled 80% of known space, Songbin explained. Today, they control less than 60%. Every month, more worlds gain their freedom. Every week, more species join our cause. Dr. Park Mina took the floor to present her latest findings. We've discovered that the neural control technology isn't just used on Dominion soldiers. The Empire uses it to control entire populations on conquered worlds. Our disruption technology can free these populations and turn Dominion-controlled worlds into liberation allies overnight. The implications were staggering. Instead of fighting a long war of conquest, the Liberation Alliance could potentially free entire sectors of space with targeted neural disruption broadcasts. But we must be careful, Dr. Park Mina continued. The Dominion is adapting to our technology. Their newest ships have improved shielding against neural disruption. We need to stay ahead of their countermeasures. Admiral Kim Tae nodded. Which is why we're not fighting this war alone. Every species in this alliance brings unique skills and knowledge. Together, we're stronger than any empire. The meeting continued for 3 days. By the end, the Galactic Liberation Council had established new military cooperation agreements, shared technology treaties, and most importantly, a common plan for the final defeat of the Dominion Empire. Lieutenant Choi Era, now promoted to captain and serving as Earth's representative to the Council, presented the final declaration. We, the free peoples of the galaxy, pledge to fight until every world is liberated. Every species is free, and no empire can ever again threaten the peace and independence of our worlds. As the delegates signed the declaration, Admiral Kim Tae reflected on how much had changed. Earth had gone from isolation to leadership in less than a year. Humanity had discovered that their greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their willingness to cooperate and share. Captain Han Sol received a priority message while the signing ceremony was taking place. Admiral, he reported to Kim Tae, our deep space sensors have detected a massive Dominion fleet moving toward the Centauri system. They're planning a major counterattack. Admiral Kim Tae smiled grimly. Then it's time to test our new alliance. How many ships can we mobilize? Over 2,000 ships from 17 different species, Han Sol replied. All equipped with neural disruption technology and trained in human tactical doctrine. And the Dominion fleet? 800 ships, but they're their newest and most powerful vessels. Admiral Kim Tae turned to address the assembled delegates. Friends, our enemy is not going to surrender quietly. They're planning a major attack. To try to break our alliance, this will be our greatest test. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every species represented in the council pledged ships and soldiers for the coming battle. The Dominion had expected to face a fragmented resistance. Instead, they would face a united galaxy. Dr. Park Mina made one final contribution to the war effort. I've been working with scientists from 12 different worlds, she announced. We've developed a new version of the neural disruption technology. Instead of just confusing Dominion forces, it can actually turn their neural networks against them. Captain Song Bin understood the implications immediately. You mean we can take control of their ships? Potentially, yes. It's still experimental, but if it works, we could end this war without destroying another ship or losing another life. As the greatest fleet in galactic history prepared to depart Earth, Admiral Kim Tae stood on the observation deck of the command ship and looked out at the stars. Humanity had started this war as victims, fighting desperately for survival. They were ending it as leaders of a free galaxy. Commander Lee, he said to his old friend, do you ever miss the quiet days when Earth was isolated from all this? Lee Hyen considered the question carefully. Sometimes, Admiral, but then I think about all the worlds we've helped free, all the species that are now our friends instead of strangers. Earth was safe when we were alone, but we were also small. Now we're part of something bigger than any one world, the liberation. fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying with them the hopes of billions of beings across the galaxy. The Dominion Empire had ruled through fear and oppression for 1,000 years, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity, a species that turned isolation into cooperation, weakness into strength, and defeat into victory. The final battle was coming. For the first time in galactic history, freedom had a real chance to win.